Hey there guys, it's Metro, and we have something pretty substantial to talk about here. Some huge changes coming with this alpha build this week. This is also going to be the last week of the leveling stuff going on the alpha. I've been doing a playthrough where I've been kind of just exploring the zone, kind of like seeing everything that the main quest line has to offer, and then kind of just spending a couple hours in the zone to test it out. That's been on the second channel. Hopefully you guys have been checking those out. Finally got that channel partnered, so thank you for all of the support over there. But yeah, this week we will be testing it out again, and I'm still deciding on what class and spec I want to play for that. They do finally have the Stormbringer for Enhance. The one I'm the most excited for is the Totemic Shaman. So we'll see. I might check this one out depending on what else is here. But this video is going to be about the Death Knight changes. I'm going to read every single one and give my first reaction. I haven't read any of these yet, so we'll see what actually happens. So let's take a look. New talent, Subduing Grasp. When you pull an enemy, the damage they deal to you is reduced by 4% for 6 seconds. Located at the Rune Mastery's previous location. All right, so before we start, let's see. Blood DK, Blood Death Knights, talent, Wowhead. Let's get this up because I want to see exactly what it's replacing, because obviously we don't have the build yet, so we can't compare it. So it says Rune Mastery's previous location. That's this, right? Yeah, okay. So that's down here. Does that go away, I guess, Rune Mastery? I don't know what that means. New talent, Osmosis. Anti-magic shell increases healing received by 15 to 25%. Located at Unholy Bond's previous location. So that's this. So these are already really big changes. I think like these three are probably some of the worst ending talents in the game, based on what I've seen. But yeah, this looks that's pretty good. That's gonna be really nice for Blood DK. I don't necessarily know. Does it increase the shield's healing as well when you use it, or is it only afterwards? New talent, Null Magic. Magic damage taken is reduced by 15%, and the duration of harmful magic effects against you are reduced by 35%. New capstone choice node with Vestigial Shell, replacing Soul Reaper. So this is like you're gonna have to choose. That's going there instead of Soul Reaper. That's kind of sad to see them tap out on that. This was the first talent tree they announced in Dragonflight, and I was really, really, really encouraged by the fact that we see a frost spell, a holy spell, and I mean that's not really a holy spell, but you get my point. It's like mostly frost stuff on this side, and then a bunch of unholy stuff on this side. I really, really like that, but I guess they're giving up on that altogether, and I don't necessarily blame them because it sounds like it didn't work out. So anyway, magic damage taken is reduced by 15%, and duration of harmful magic effects affects you by 35%. I mean, that sounds like an absolute slam dunk, especially given how Blood DK has played recently. The more magic damage reduction, the better. But maybe it's not needed. We'll see. Of course, it doesn't do offense, so it's going to confuse a lot of people. So this is the other option in that talent, it seems. Casting Anti-Magic Shell grants 2 nearby allies a lesser Anti-Magic Shell that absorbs magic damage and reduces duration of harmful effects against them by 50%. Whoa. That's a tough one not to take, but it doesn't sound like it'd be that valuable, given how often you might have the AMS. That's a good one for raid, though, I'm sure. That's going to be really, really powerful in a setting where you know exactly where you need to use these things. Okay, we have a new talent, Ice Prison. Chains of Ice now also roots enemies for 4 seconds, but its cooldown is increased to 12 seconds. That's great. That's a really good that's gonna be really great. Although I don't know though, because I feel like most of the times you use does the root break instantly? I don't know about that part. Right? That may not be very useful. It depends on how it works. Like because I'm thinking about times I might use Chains of Ice, pretty much very limited, but I would use it on, say, the first boss of Nakoden Hold, where that ad comes out and needs to be slowed, so I can slow the ad with that. Rooting that ad would be even better, but if the mob just instantly gets broken because of damage, yeah, like, it's not a stun, I guess, so interesting. Available in Gate 1 after Blinding Sleet, so that means it's going to be, they're not getting rid of Icebound, obviously, so there's going to be like a talent here, I guess. Okay, Rune Protection. Your chance to be critically struck is reduced by 3%, and your armor is increased by 3 to 6%. Wait, can you get critically struck as a tank now? I don't know how that works. But a 6% armor buff? Okay, that's, yeah, just mandatory. Replaces Icy Talon's old position within the tree. Okay. So that's down here in that stupid slot. Where's Icy Talons going, though? Because that's actually modified by the Deathbringer thing, right? Isn't it? Chains of Ice is now granted baseline and learned at 13. Okay, so that's gone. So what's replacing that? Just the interrupt? Anti-Magic Shell is now granted baseline and learned at 14. So wait, okay, that's also gone. That's there. So it would be... yeah, I wish I could just see the talent. I guess we'll be able to see it in a couple hours, but I'm impatient. I got to make the video now. Rune of Stoneskin Gargoyle can be reforged on one-handed weapons. Rune forged. What would you want that for? Is that something that anybody would use as the DPS? Or are they actually allowing Blood Decay to finally use two one-handers? Rune of Hysteria has been removed. Oh, these are some... I can already see some changes. Hold on. These are big changes. I'm kind of reading ahead. Fuck. Rune of Hysteria was a problematic design, especially as it pertains to Breath of Sindragosa and the volatility of its uptime. We felt that for overall health of the spec, it would be best to remove Hysteria at the time to better enable us to meet our goals within the upcoming changes. I did not know anybody used that ever. Okay, this is crazy. I can already see these. Empowered Rune Weapon has been removed. Managed to go the entire time it was in the game without taking it. Yes, all right, it's been removed. This will still be available for Frost in their spec tree, but Blood and Holy were often flooded with resources, and a big unnecessary contributor to this was Empower Rune Weapon. To better dial in resources on Blood and Unholy, we feel it's best to keep an Empowered Rune Weapon for Frost only. They talked about this. I made a video on this like 2-3 weeks ago about flooding with resources. I was very scared about how they were going to handle it for Blood. It sounds like these two changes that are coming up are going to be the reason, the way they do it. And this next one scares me. A bomb limb no longer grants Blood Shield or Bone Shield, Runic Corruption, or Rhyme based on specialization. In Shadowlands, it was important for the spec hooks to exist to better balance between the other Covenant ability choices. With its reintroduction in Dragonflight, it's added to the influx of resources and procs that can often come at inopportune times, or added to the feeling of being unable to spend down the bonuses it grants. That's not the case for Blood Decay. By removing this, it allows the ability to breathe on its own and lean into the strength of AoE control and damage. Damn, that sucks. That's a ridiculous nerf. I had a feeling they were going to do that. I didn't think it was going to go that way, but that's a massive nerf. Because that's like one of the main... I said this in the last video. The reason Blood Decay is easier to play now than it was in the past is because you no longer have to constantly worry about Bone Shield. Like, you have multiple options to protect you against losing Bone Shield now. But honestly, I probably don't even use it very well, so maybe it won't be that big of an impact on me, but that's a gut punch right there. Because that was the real reason Blood DK was gotten to be so much more friendly to play. Well, let's continue reading. Rune of the Apocalypse has been updated. That's a rune that I don't even know what it does, so I won't bother reading that. It's cool. I guess they're trying to get people to use the other ones. Maybe other people will know. Cleaving Strikes now also retains bonus effects for being within your Death and Decay for 4 seconds after leaving its area. Cleaving Strikes. Hard Strike hits up to 3 Scourge Strike additional enemies while you remain in Death and Decay. Okay, so yeah, that's obviously a baseline, pretty much a baseline thing. Icebound Fortitude reduced by 60 seconds. Oh, okay. So does that mean we don't need this talent anymore? So that's all 1 talent point now. That's great. Icebound is now a 2-minute CD on default. That's great. Veteran of the Third War now grants 20% stamina and is now a 1 rank talent. Okay, so it was always 20%, but now it's just 1 rank. This is a good choice. A lot of people have been talking about this on how to fix the problems with Death Knight talents. So out of the gate, we've already gained 2 talent points. Even if nothing else changes other than these things, it's already 2 talent points for free that we just got. So that's going to be huge. Icy Talons now increases attack speed per stack by 6% and is now a 1 rank talent. But they moved it, right? So who knows where that is now, but that's going to be a lot easier to take now that we're not worried about being this down deep into the tree. Unholy Bond, basically they did the same thing with all of those, it looks like. Unholy Bond is the same way. And that's moved too. Assimilation now reduces the cooldown of anti-magic zone by 30 seconds. No longer increases runic power when absorbing damage. Reduces the cooldown. What does it do now? Oh, okay. So it's just making it more uptime. I have a lot of trouble using that spell, but yeah, with the extra talent points, like maybe now I just throw it on there and my best to use it. Suppression now grants an additional 6%. Oh, wait, what was that? Suppression now grants an additional 6% damage reduction to area of effects when you suffer a loss of control. Move to gate 3. Suppression. Ah, just a passive. So instead of a 6% reduction, it's now a 3%. Now it's a 6%. Just a buff. Blood scent leech increased to 5%. Blood scent. Oh, that's just another passive. Yeah, okay. So just a big buff. These are going to be huge changes for Unholy too, by the way, for the DPS specs. Blood Draw now also grants a buff reducing damage by 10% and reducing death strike cost by 10 for 8 seconds when falling below 30% health. Now a rank 1 talent, a 1 rank talent. Move to left capstone position. Okay, so this is gone. And it's been replaced by Blood Draw. That's not going to be very balanced, I feel like. I don't know. That spell is terrible. It needs a buff. Like, it doesn't need changes. It needs more damage. When you fall below 30% health, you gain 120. That needs to be like 600% of your attack power. It basically needs to just be a second cheat death. Like, that's what it should do, considering it's a 3-minute cooldown. Especially if it's going to be a capstone now. But obviously, a 10% damage reduction is all right. The whole death strike reducing thing, I don't know that that's that valuable. But I guess it might save you. Like, you might accidentally be low, or it might accidentally be too low on runic power, you know? Unholy Ground moved to gate 1, available after cleaving strikes. Unholy Ground is this. Yeah, okay. That probably should just be gone. Like, does anybody not take that talent? Anyway, Sacrificial Pact is now a choice node with Enfeeble. That's interesting. I really like Enfeeble. Sacrificial Pact is something that I used to like a lot in Dragonflight or in Shadowlands, but Runic Attenuation moved to gate 1, available after Cold Thirst. So that's this. Cold Thirst. Okay, so that's basically Icebound's moved down to here, it sounds like. And then this is moved up to here. I mean, that's cool. This is obviously helping offset the loss of Empowered Rune Weapon for people who might take that now. Soul Reaper moved to gate 2, available after Unholy Bond or Death's Reach. And Soul Reaper's just like that's never going to see play in Mythic Plus. The following talents have been removed. Might of Thessarian. Ah. Oh, what? Why would you get rid of that? What? Merciless Strikes. Crit. And Clenching Grasp. Okay, just making sure. Okay. The slow on Death Grip. I've never used that once. I don't think ever. Doesn't seem like it'd be very good, honestly. A lot of times you're moving mobs, you don't want them to be slowed after they're gripped. So definitely not a resounding amount of changes. And Holy's got crazy changes, though. I'm not going to read this, but it does make me think that if these changes are like a precursor to what changes for Blood, it could be crazy. So stay tuned. There'll be a part 3 of this series where we read the eventual Blood changes. Otherwise, there's probably a bunch of other stuff. I just, at this point, I don't really even follow other classes, but I'm excited. So stay tuned on the second channel. They're going to be hitting up the Aj Kahet zone. We'll do our full 3 hours like we've been doing. If you guys have any suggestions for what class you might want to see me do, I'll probably do Shaman, to be honest. Shaman, like Enhancement Shaman, is the spec that I'm the most interested in doing a leveling challenge on, so I'm eager to see both of their kits with the new Stormbringer stuff, but we'll see. But yeah, honestly, this is not really as crazy as I hoped it was going to be. There's some cool new talents. I think the Null Magic talent, that's probably going to be the strongest one. And that's, unfortunately going to stop us from taking Vestigial Shell, which sounds cool. It's good that they're giving DPS specs, like, because that's way more valuable, I think, right? Although, I don't know, maybe even the DPS specs want the Null Magic one. That seems actually kind of, yeah, it's like, it's going to create like a selfish versus selfless situation, which we always don't love to see that in a choice node. And then Anti-Magic Shell That one's the most interesting one. I don't know what this is gonna look like. But potentially this is gonna make you start using AMS on physical damage now, which might be good for some people who struggle to use it well. 25% I mean, that's or healing increase. That's a substantial amount. That's like more than Vamp Blood, right? What does Vamp Blood give you? Ah, okay, it's 30%. That's actually 35%. So that's pretty much, 40-second CD. That's pretty substantial. So those are some pretty good changes for blood, but they nerfed them, I think, in the long run with that nerf to A-bomb limb. So we'll see what happens. I'm eager to see what it looks like. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of balancing, but yeah, we'll see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.